Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. While we are having everyone log on here, I will go over some quick housekeeping notes. So everyone is on mute. So if you have any questions at any point, please drop them into the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. We will also have a few polls pop up throughout the session, and we would love for you to participate when those appear. With that, I will quickly introduce myself and hand it over to Kit. So my name is Amanda. I am here representing Retail Control Systems, where we help leaders accelerate their retail business. We've been in the retail technology space for over 35 years now, helping retailers navigate their unique challenges with point of sale systems, software solutions, and technical support. You can learn more about us and our support services at retailcontrolsystems.com. But today we are especially excited to welcome Kit Campoy. She has some serious on the boots ground experience. She has led teams, run stores, and she is the author of The Retail Leaders Field Guide, How to Run a Kick-Ass Store Where Everyone Wants to Work. So welcome, Kit. We can start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you for inviting me here today. I think, the questions that you're asking and what we're going to talk about is so important. So yeah, a little bit about me. After college, I got a degree in merchandising, and then I kind of just went straight into retail. I worked full-time at a department store, and then just kind of got more into specialty retail. And once I got keys to a store, I just became like super curious. Like I was just like, I want to know more. I want to know more. How does that work? How does that work? I wanted to know everything about it. And I moved out to San Diego, and in 2000, I think, I probably worked at every single mall in the San Diego area. I said yes to everything whenever my company asked. I said, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll go there. Yes, I'll work there. Yes, I'll help out. So I've been kind of everywhere. I worked for PacSun. That's who sent me all over the place. Lucky Brand Jeans, Anthropologie, and then I ended my career at Tilly's. I worked there for 9 years. So it was really bittersweet to leave the sales floor. I think I cried for like 2 weeks. I just loved the people. I loved the team. I loved seeing everybody every day, but just knew that I had to do something different. And when I started writing, that led me back to retail. So nobody else was really talking about the realities of the sales floor, talking about the brilliance of retail leaders and advocating for these people. And it's just something that once I started to do, I couldn't stop. So here we are.
Awesome. I love that. So you've seen a lot of stores. What is the biggest mistake retailers make in their back rooms that silently kills productivity, do you think?
Yeah. So I always say if your back room is a mess, your business is a mess. You have to organize your back room every single day. And that if you're not used to that, it sort of sounds like overkill, right? Like, why would I have to organize this every single day? But there's so many people in and out of there every day. So it's not like your house, like where you put something somewhere and it stays there, right? You have like 20, 30 people in and out of there, grabbing stuff, throwing stuff back. And so it has to be hyper organized. If I have never been in your store before, I should be able to walk in your back room and immediately understand how it's organized and where everything is. So that needs to be someone's job. So I would always kind of depends on your leadership structure, but I usually made that the person that was in charge of running the shipment and merchandising. That was sort of that person's job in my store. Again, it's going to be a little different depending on your team, but one leader should really be in charge of that so that every single day they're walking through, they're cleaning it up, they're like making sure that everything is in the right place. And, it's everybody's job. So if I go back there and I see something like wonky, like, why is this here? I'm going to put it back in the right place. But it should be one person's responsibility to make sure that that is kept up every single day, every single week.
Cool, that makes sense. So if
Mm-hmm.
you walked into a chaotic back room, what would be the first three things you would fix?
Hmm. Yes, I've had to do this. So first we just sort everything, right? Like what goes together. You put the hardware with the hardware, you put the signage with the signage, like put like things together. Um, Shipping materials also you want all in the same place. Like if you're shipping, shipping online from store, all that stuff should be in one spot. So you're not running back and forth like, oh, I need a box. Oh, I need a label. I need to like, it should just all be right there. And then once you have everything sorted, you want to make sure that everything that you use the most is sort of mid-level, right? You're not going to be climbing a ladder for things that you use every day. So like mid-level. And this sounds like common sense, but it often doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Like I've walked into stores and it's like, why is that thing up there? Like you guys use that all the time. Like, oh yeah, we didn't even think about that. So like bring it down, make it make sense, label absolutely everything you can. We used to use those clear like storage bins, those huge ones, so you
Hmm.
could actually see what was in there. Even still, we would still label them. A lot of hardware looks exactly the same when it's in a plastic bin. Is this a 2-inch peg? Is this a 5-inch peg? Like they kind of all look the same. So label everything. And then once you've done all that and you've got it all organized, tell everybody, like walk people through there and say, like, this is where this is now, this is how it's organized. Questions once they have it down, like, okay, great, now go tell someone else. So everybody's on the same page.
Perfect. So, coming from RCS, like we deal with retail technology and retail solutions. So from a systems perspective, how important is it that your inventory data matches what's physically in the back room? And what would you want to see on a unified screen to make sure that what's in the system reflects reality?
It is so important that your inventory matches what your computer says that you have. So when I was running stores, our systems were very old and they didn't update until we closed at night. So once we closed and the system ran, right, then it updated all the numbers. We did not have in the moment updates. It was like a dinosaur system. So um, so if a customer wanted, say they wanted this T-shirt, right, in medium, I could look in the system and it would tell me, okay, we're supposed to have two of those, right? But like I said, it doesn't update all the time. So maybe we sold those two this morning and I don't know. So it was basically like you're just on a wild goose chase. Like the system will give you an idea of like maybe what you should have, but you don't really know. So you're, checking the sales floor, you're checking the go back rack, you're checking the back room, you're checking your shipment. Like, where is it? We don't know. It might be there, it might not. So that's super frustrating for the store staff, but it's also just like frustrating for the customer, right? Like they're kind of like, how come you don't know what you own? Like that's
Right.
weird. Um, so a system that is like up to date all the time, amazing. I would want to know, what does my store have on hand? What do other stores in the area have on hand? What is sitting in a warehouse somewhere? And then also what is on order? Because sometimes we would say, hey, like I would look at sell-through reports every week. Hey, we're selling this black t-shirt like crazy. What's on order? Are we
Hmm.
getting more of these, or is this kind of it? So then that way you can give the customer some sort of idea like, hey, we should be getting more, or, that's kind of it. I'll try to track down one locally. So that's what I
Great.
would love to see on a dashboard.
Awesome. So I imagine it's important for the rest of your team to see that as well so that you can all be on the same page, communication wise. So that brings me to communication in general. What does healthy, effective communication actually look like on a retail sales floor?
It's complex, and it's also different for every store. So I'll tell you what it looked like for us, what worked really well. So we had about our building was about 10,000 square feet. So during peak times, you could have, 15 to 18 people on the sales floor. So, and we used walkie talkies too. I know, a lot of people do. It's like pretty normal. So whenever I would onboard someone who was new to the store, it felt a little bit awkward for them to get used to our communication flow because it feels like overkill. But if you're coming on for your shift, I'm going to tell you, what does the day look like? What does our sales goals look like? What are new promotions going on, right? We'll have like a little 5-minute chat in, and I'll give you your zones and your goals and all that good stuff. Once you're on the floor, the communication has to be, you kind of have to narrate like what you're doing. So like in that store that I'm talking about, we had two different stock rooms. We had a shoe stock room, we had a regular stock room. If someone was selling shoes, they're going to be on and off the floor a lot, right? Because they're running back to grab shoes, coming back out. So it's got to be sort of constant, and it's got to be like, hey, I'm headed to the back room. Your cashier might be like, hey, could I have a manager up here at register 2? I have a question. Someone else maybe on the other side of the store could let me know, hey, I helped this customer in the blue sweater. She's doing really well. I'm going to check up her in a minute. Because as the leader running the sales floor, I need to be able, like, I can't be everywhere at once. I'm going to be walking like figure eights through the store, but I need to know at a glance, like if I look around and my shoe associate is not there anymore, I need to know, I know that they're in the back because they told me, right?
Hmm.
Because if someone's over there and they're not there and I don't know where they are, then I have to run over and check on that person. But if I know they're in the back and they'll be right out, I'm not worried about it. I see the lady in the blue sweater and I'm like, I know that lady's okay because someone just told me. And
Hmm.
I know that the line at the register, they're going to be done in a minute because someone just told me, like, oh, we're almost done. I'm almost done. I'm about to help the next person. So when you start in that environment, people used to be like, this is weird. Like, why do you guys narrate everything you do? But sometimes I would have people shadow me if they like didn't, if it wasn't kind of clicking for them. And I would say, hey, look, like this is what I'm looking after. I need to know that everyone in the store is doing really well. So if you tell me, if you're narrating, I'm stepping to the back for a minute, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to jump over here, I'm going to back up on register. Fantastic. Then I'm not asking so many questions. So it does feel, when you first get into that, it does feel a little awkward and it does feel like overkill, but it really does create the best experience for everybody.
Perfect. Yeah, it sounds like that's a great way to keep everyone on the same page and know what's going on. Um, So you briefly mentioned goals. So that kind of brings me to like when you're setting up the team for the day, what store metrics should be visible to everyone, and how important is it that everyone is pulling from the same dashboard?
Yeah, really important. We only had one place to get all of our sales information, so everybody kind of went there. Um, it's super important. So you want to know what your sales goal is for the day. You want to know what your last year's numbers look like. So you want if you're on the right track. And then any KPIs that you're tracking, and KPIs are really different, not really different, but can be a little different from company to company. So we would track like our conversion, our ADS, our UPT, those kinds of things we would track every hour. And there was one central place to get all this information. So we weren't getting like different numbers. There was just one spot. So it's really
Mhm.
important so that everyone's on the same page, that there's only one place to go.
Perfect. What simple daily or weekly habits can store leaders implement to keep everyone aligned? I mean, I know we talked about, narrating what you're doing on the sales floor, but are there any other like tips and tricks you have for that?
Yeah, you have to be pretty tenacious about making sure that like communication is disseminated to everybody, and it really lean on the other leaders in your store because it should be a team effort, not just the store. Like the store leader has enough to do, and they're definitely like it's part of their job to tell everybody what's going on, but your leader should be doing that too. But also don't forget about like bulletin boards in the back room. I know that sounds like really old school, but it still works. Like we would use those a lot. And if you're walking back and forth, if you're walking past the same bulletin board like 20 times a day, like some of that information will probably get into your brain. And let your team know too that it's part of their responsibility. So as a sales associate, like, yeah, I'm going to tell you what's going on for the day, but also like look around, keep your head up, keep your eyes open, read stuff. It's not, if I stuck it on a bulletin board or there's like a memo on the wall, that's probably for a reason. It's not for for me. Like I already know this stuff. It's for everybody. So put some of that ownership on the team too.
Perfect. Can, how can you use like the reporting system to do that? So like running sales reads and just to help motivate the team throughout the day.
Yeah, you have to. So we would pull a sales read at the top of every hour. So when you're approaching the next hour, it's a lot happens at the top of the hour. You're going to pull your sales read, and then you're probably going to have shift changes. People are going to leave, people are going to come. Like it's a big switch over every hour. So, we would do that every hour, and we would pull the sales read and then all of our KPIs and then let people know like what the goal is for the next hour. We would also empower our sales associates to pull those reads too. That way they know how to get the information. They know how to see if we're on the right track, and it gives them a little bit more ownership in the business so that they can see what they're doing and how they're like a part of something bigger.
Awesome. So speaking of empowering employees, how can you empower them to make decisions without losing control of the customer experience? So making them make those like leadership decisions on their own.
um, I think you need to talk about that a lot. And from like a sales associate kind of standpoint, just let them know like there's so many different levels of like breaking the rules, right? Like, are you kind of taking an expired coupon? That's probably no big deal, right? Like, take the expired coupon, like, make the customer happy. Are you going to give a discount to like a brand that we typically don't give a discount to? Like, partner with a manager. So, I think that does take a little bit of time and a little bit of tenure on your salespeople's part, because they don't like, nobody wants to go to work and do a bad job. They want to show up and they want to do a good job and they want to do the right thing. And they want to do the right thing for the customer. So, it does take some time, but also explain those things like, oh, hey, I just honored this coupon because it was just expired by like a day, right? Like no big deal. We can do that. Other problems that you're solving, just let your people in and let them know what was the problem and what was the decision you made so they can start to get an idea of what is going to be the right decision.
Perfect. What's your advice to leaders who struggle with letting go and trusting their team? So kind of like the opposite there.
Yeah, that's really, really hard for a lot of leaders. Um, and I've seen it countless times, countless times. Um, and I'm just gonna like tell you a quick story. I had a co-manager. So this is like someone who would be like my right hand. Okay. She worked at another location and moved to my store because I had a spot open. And when she was fantastic, okay, she was great. Um, but there was so many things that she didn't know how to do, like ordering supplies. And I was like kind of dumbfounded. I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you don't know how to order supplies? And she was like, oh, my store manager did that. I'm like, okay, what about, and I would like, what about this? What about that? My store manager did that. My store manager did that. So it's tough. I know it's really tough. And it feels a little bit scary to kind of let go because you know how to do everything. And sometimes it just feels easier or faster to do it yourself. But your team should not be texting you with every single question that comes up. They should know where their resources are. They should know who to call if you're off for the day. And if you don't let go, then your team will never learn how to do it themselves. And I always used to tell people, make $100 mistake so you don't make the $1,000 mistake. Like people are gonna, and usually mistakes don't cost us anything. Um, but let people make mistakes. It usually only takes one time for them to be like, oh, oops, okay, like a change order comes to mind. Like new managers would always, I hated doing the change order. So I would teach people that like as quick as I could, like that's how you order change. Cause it was tedious and it was like, I
Mhm.
don't want to figure this out. Um, and so always the first time someone ordered change, they would order like, I can't remember, like $50 in pennies, like some ridiculous amount in pennies, right? And then you get the delivery and your armored guard is like, someone ordered $50 and you're like, okay, oops, sorry. But once they see what $50 in pennies
Mhm.
looks like, they're like never going to do it
Yep.
again. So most mistakes are like that, right? It's like no big deal. It's kind of funny. It's like, oops, don't order that many pennies. So just kind of like just let the mistakes happen and then people will probably not make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I've heard you talk about like when you have a day off and people are calling you all day long. You've referenced like 411 versus 911. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my favorite. I talk about that in the book too. And it feels kind of funny now because we do not use 411 as a society anymore. So, for anyone who doesn't know, 411 used to be the number that you would call for information. So, you just want to know the phone number, right, to a restaurant or the address or something basic, right? You call 411. And for an emergency, you call 911. We all know that. That still exists. So I used to always teach my team, if you are thinking about reaching out to me on my day off, think about, is this 411 or is this a 911 situation? So are you texting me because you want to know where the paper towels are? Or Did someone get hurt at work and like break their arm, right? Those are very different situations. And you have to really like set those guidelines, or else people will just text you for everything, right?
Mhm.
Do we have more of this? Where's that? Did we get this in? Did we receive that new mop? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's my day off. So really think about that stuff. Talk to the people that are around you. Reach out to other stores if you need to. It's so important to know where your resources are. And yes, if someone falls off a ladder, or if, my opening manager for tomorrow is out, definitely sick, like not coming in, and I need to come in, I will absolutely do that. And you can reach out to me for that. So make that very clear to people. It gives them more responsibility, it gives them more ownership, and it gives you a day off, which is so important. And retail leaders rarely get a day off where they are not interrupted. So we really need to protect their time away.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to like separate the information versus emergency, um, so that employees can clearly understand that.
Yeah.
Um, so something that we experience a lot because when we're implementing new point of sale systems in a store, or something like that, is the team is going through a technology change. So how do you lead a team through a technology change, or really any change, like just adopting a new process?
I think really from a place of optimism and a place of curiosity, right? So nobody's going to want to learn something new if you're telling them that you're not looking forward to it and it's going to suck, right? Nobody's going to want to do it.
Mhm.
So really from like, hey, like the company's rolling out this new thing. It's going to be really cool. I can't wait to learn about it. Like focus on it's going to be fun. This is how it's going to help us. This is how it's going to save time. This is how it's going to make our job easier. We rolled out a new POS system. So the leaders had to learn it first. And then we partnered with all of our sales associates to come through and learn it. And there was definitely a learning curve to that. But when you approach it with like, you know, kind of more of like a partnership, like they would get stuck in a lot of places learning the new system. And I would just kind of jump in and be like, yeah, like this was wonky for me too at first. Like, here's how we get around that. Here's how we use this. Here's how, like, just kind of make it fun. And then also, if there is any hiccups, just be like, oh yeah, this thing is wonky. We're all learning it, so that it doesn't feel like all on this one person, like, oh, this is so difficult, like this is a new system. So you have to be optimistic about it. If you're not, it's just not, the rollout is going to be so much harder.
Makes sense. Um, in smaller stores, where employees are wearing multiple hats, or like understaffed stores or things like that, how do you avoid burnout while keeping standards high?
Definitely lean on that 411911 thing for sure if you can. um so smaller footprint stores with not as many leaders, it's different than being understaffed. When you are running a smaller store with fewer leaders and you do kind of have to like jump in and do everything, um I would always, as a store leader, I would always approve time off requests. Like I would approve probably 95% of time. The only thing I'm not going to approve is you request like the week of Christmas off. Yeah, like I can't make that work, but
Mhm.
pretty much anything else I'm going to approve. And it's going to be different things are really important to different people. I used to have a leader who, concerts were really important to her. And there was certain concerts that she had to go to. So I made sure she went. right? Like I would make sure she would go. I would even like work on my birthday so she could go because I was like, whatever, I don't care. Go to your concert, right? I'm not saying you have to do that, but for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. So, and then I also had another leader who was obsessed with video games. And he didn't take vacations, he didn't travel, he didn't like that stuff. He wanted to play video games. So when a new game came out, he would request the day off so he could just play that game all day. And I would be like, yes, have the day off. Go play that game all day long. So protect people's time off like fiercely. And if you're upset that like other people are taking time off and you're not, like that's a you excuse me, that's a you problem. That's not their problem. You need to get your time off request on the calendar too. But outside of that, I'm a big proponent for taking time off. Outside of that, definitely like celebrate those small wins every day and keep it fun and realize that, I had so many retail leaders that put so much pressure on me to do more, to do better, to work harder. And it's like, okay, yeah, but this should also be fun. Like retail should be fun. This is a fun job. So I think, not taking everything like, yeah, we're going to work hard and we're going to show up and we're going to do as best we can and we're going to meet our goals. But we're going to have a good time while we do it, right? Like we're going to share a laugh and we're going to joke around because like you have to also make it fun or else why would anybody want to work there?
I imagine that helps with turnover as well, like keeping employees, and they're not going to want to leave if they're enjoying themselves and have a good work-life balance. So,
Yeah, and you can do both. And I know sometimes like people think that I'm like kind of bonkers. Like you can work hard and have a really good time. I swear, that was my whole thing when I was running stores is like, yes, this job is very difficult. It's very dynamic. You're tracking a lot of stuff throughout the whole day, and your priorities will change probably every hour. So it's a lot physically, it's a lot mentally, but also just like have a good time, right? Like go through the new merchandise that you just got, like have someone try it on, like how does that fit? Like what's your favorite thing that we just got? Like just to have a good time with it too, because when you do that, just your customers will feel that as
mhm.
well. And it's just going to be like a place that they want to be.
I love that. That's great. Um, so I just have a couple more questions for you, and then we can jump into the Q&A with the audience. What is one operational habit that scales well from one store to 50?
Um, I would say that as a company, you need to decide what days you do what. Okay. So, because I've worked for companies that don't do this and I work for companies that do this. So I know. So the best system that, and this company had a lot of stores, so they needed to be pretty like systemized. Mondays we had conference calls, we wrote our schedule. It was kind of like information download on Mondays. Tuesdays we did markdowns and transfers. Wednesdays was typically maybe you finish up markdowns and transfers and you do visual moves and you recover from all of those markdowns and transfers because you do all those markdowns and transfers and then you got holes all over your store. You got empty shelves. So you need to fill that in. You need to clean it up. Thursdays and Fridays really, well, you do shipment every day, but Thursdays and Fridays, you make sure all that shipment is out on the floor. And then Saturday, Sunday, you're pretty much just selling. So I think that you standardize that and then you scale it right across however many stores you have. If you don't do that, it's a little more challenging for the stores that are in, I'm sorry, the teams that are in stores. It's a little more challenging to like walk in on a Wednesday and be like, oh, I don't know what is going to happen today. Who knows what they're going to throw down at us, right? But if you have a standardized week, then you kind of know, okay, Tuesdays are markdowns. What are we looking at? Wednesdays are this. What are we looking at? And you get into a rhythm so everyone kind of understands like the flow of the business. And then you can scale that along, across however many stores you want and it'll work.
So like on the other side, what should stores keep flexible? So you want to standardize what days you do what, but what type of processes and things like that should stay flexible?
For what I've experienced was hours of operation can be unique to the location. So it really depends on like, are you an outdoor center? Are you working in a mall? What part of the country are you in? Um, I worked at a store and it was an outdoor center and the mall was like technically closed on Easter. But there's a lot of restaurants in that center that were very busy on Easter, and a handful of stores were open, and we were near all the restaurants. So to make the decision to be open that day, we made about $10,000 every Easter. So then it's like at that, like, why wouldn't you be open? And on the flip side of that, we had direction coming down from HQ during holiday season. They wanted us open at 8 a.m. 2 weeks before Christmas, like through the holiday. So after that season, we went back and we analyzed, you can do this with AI now, but I couldn't. We analyzed all of the foot traffic and the sales, right, from 8 to 10. Like, was it worth it to be open at 8 a.m.? Like, it was absolutely not worth it to be open at 8 a.m. Like,
Right.
the payroll that it was costing us to be open, like nobody knew we were open. And also like nobody was shopping at 8 o'clock in the morning, especially 2 weeks out. Maybe like 2 days before, like maybe I'll give that to you, but really think about the hours of operation and what works best for every location because it is going to be a little bit different.
That makes sense. Perfect. That is all the questions I had for you today. So we can open up the Q&A to the audience. I don't know. Keith, I can't see the Q&A. Do we have any questions in there?
No questions as of yet. We're waiting
Okay.
for
All right.
questions.
No
Do you
questions,
have
you guys?
anything else you want to talk about while we wait for some questions to roll in here, Kit?
Um, Gosh, we covered so much. Um, so the last thing I'll say about running, oh, here's a question. Mm, how do you motivate an employee who just doesn't want to be there? That's a really good question. It's really difficult. So, I would usually like, try all the usual things, right? Like be excited for stuff, teach them something new, partner them with someone who's really great. Like maybe a partner will help them. Um, and if you've kind of done all the usual stuff, I would just kind of have an honest conversation with them and be like, hey, you know what? I'm really glad that you're here, but it doesn't really seem like you're glad that you're here. I kind of get like you give off vibes like you don't want to be here. And so I used to always tell my team I worked with a lot of younger people who were in high school and they were still kind of trying to figure out how to prioritize everything they had going on. And I would always tell them, this job doesn't have to be priority number one for you, but it's got to be It's got to be a priority. And if this isn't the best fit, that's okay. Like, it's not for everyone. Um, you can totally quit, like no hard feelings. You can go do something else. It's okay. Like, that's kind of how life works. Like, we try stuff and it doesn't work out and we go do other things. So I think that's kind of what I found. And then, just give them a few days to think about it. They don't need to make a decision right now. But I think the worst thing you can do is just kind of ignore it and like hopefully they'll get a better attitude because they probably won't. So I would just have an honest conversation with them.
Makes sense. Any other questions in there right now?
That's the only one that I saw pop up.
Oh, I think we just got a couple.
We just got a couple. Okay, how do you handle being understaffed during a busy time? You sweat, and it's really, really hard. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a customer, sweat rolling down my back, and literally doing this, like, because you can't touch your face, right? So you're like using your sleeve. It's really hard. So everyone that you have has to be on the floor. No one like, I'm doing shipment. I can't. No, you need to be on the floor right now. So everyone has to be on the floor. And then also just tell your customers, like tell them what's going on. So if you get a rush and it's like literally you and one other person, I've had this happen where someone's like, I need a fitting room and I need a shoe. And like, can you help me get this down? And it's like just me on the floor. And I'm like, yes, yes, I can. I can help all of you. But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to open this fitting room door and then I'm going to get this thing down for this person. And I'm going to be right back to get you your shoe. So if you just tell people what's going on, if you say, I'm so sorry, it's just me. Like, it's just me on the floor right now. I got a cashier, but it's just me. And I'm going to run as fast as I can. And people will get it. They'll be like, oh, okay. But if you don't tell them what's going on and they just see you running around, then they're going to get upset. So that's my best advice, but it's really hard.
Just power through it and be honest about it.
Yeah. And then drink a lot of water. You can drink water, just chug water. Yeah. It's so hard though. I feel you. Yeah.
We got a few more questions here. How do you train associates to create personalized experiences at scale?
I think you need to let them lean into who they are, so that they can really connect with customers. It's really hard because I know every company has their like standardized way of selling, right? Like, you greet them and then you add a thing and then you do this and then, right, everyone has like their 5 steps of customer service. So it's really hard to scale that. But I think when you train associates to like lean into who they are and really have a good time, then they're going to start connecting with customers and creating those personalized experiences. It's going to feel way more authentic and warm than if they're just like, hey, welcome to my store. This is our promo. Like, we've all been in those situations where it feels very like like robotic, like you're reading from a script. Yeah. So it's just like, really celebrate who they are and also sell next to them. I think people don't get enough of that either. When you can. I know that's really hard because everyone's always short staffed, but sell side by side with people, and then they'll start to like see it and then create their own personalized experience from there.
Awesome. We have another question here. What leadership behaviors most directly impact customer experience?
That one's tough too. I would say go back to having a good time with people and also like let them be themselves, make people feel safe. Um, because if someone was having a no good, terrible, very bad day and they came in and they were just like, to work and they were just like, oh, I would be like, okay, cool. I'm really sorry that like, let's go in the back. What do you need? Like, do you want to take 5 minutes? You want to run, go get a coffee? Like what's gonna like kind of help you shake off whatever happened earlier and let's just like have a good time. So I think being empathetic and being available and being approachable, and being that safe space for people so that they can kind of truly be themselves and be like, oh, you know what? Like, can't believe this just happened, or I can't believe I just got a speeding ticket or whatever. Like, be that safe space so they can be honest with you so you can kind of help them through that. And then they can hit the floor and have a great time and have a good time with customers and have a good time with their team as well. If you don't create that space for people to do that, then you're going to get a person who hits the floor and who's like just mad, right? They're just like, oh, I have to bring this person up, right? And then everyone's going to like feel that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Let's see. How do you channel promotions and employees that are not happy with folks that have been promoted in a shorter time frame than they have been onboarded? Does that make sense?
I'm reading it. Let's
Okay.
see. I'm kind of taking that like, how do you handle employees that are not happy with people that have been promoted in a shorter amount of time? It's tough. It happens though. But also like we have to remember that that tenure doesn't really, not that it doesn't mean anything, but tenure is not a guarantee for a promotion, ever, anywhere. So I would partner with that person and probably outline what they need to do to get to the next step, make it really clear. And I would check in with them every month. Like, I know you want to get to the next step. This is what we need to work on. How is that going? Make it active and do it every month. Otherwise, they're just going to feel like forgotten and they're probably going to check out. So it is really hard. And also like validate how they feel, right? Because that's suck. That's a sucky situation. Nobody wants someone to come in and get promoted ahead of them. Like that is a total bummer if it's something that they were really looking for. So, I would say like validate their feelings and also say like, okay, like together, like what can we do now to get you to that place, right? And like let's meet on the regular and let's talk about it.
Awesome. Another question here is, how do you deal with an employee that consistently doesn't pull their weight while everyone else is working hard?
Definitely had those people, like a lot of them. Gosh, a lot of different ways. It just really depends. Like, sometimes I would have people who really like to, like, work in one zone of the store because they could kind of just like slack or whatever. So I would just be upfront with them, like, hey, I'm gonna make you a cashier today because I need you to work. And like, I can't have you standing over there, like talking to Joey. You're driving me nuts. Um, like, like that, like just be really honest with people. Because again, like if you don't address it, or tell them too, like, hey, and this is also like, I would never do this with someone who was like new. I'm not gonna like put them on blast if they're new. But just be really like, I had a kid who was great and then just wasn't. and just was kind of screwing around. So I just had that conversation with him and I was like, look, like we're approaching holiday. We're all like working really, really hard right now and we're all really digging in and you're just not pulling your weight. Like I really need you. I know what you're capable of. I've seen it. So if you can help us with XYZ today, like that would put us in a better spot. So those conversations are never like that's the coming part of the job, right? Like nobody wants to tell someone that they're not pulling their weight. But you have to, because if you tolerate that behavior and you don't address it, the rest of the team is going to be really unhappy with you for not saying anything.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right. I think this is the last question. As a former retail operations manager, I found the most fulfilling part of leadership is not just advancing my own career, but developing team members to eventually step into my role as I grow. However, could intentionally mentoring certain individuals be perceived as favoritism? If so, what is the best way to navigate that while maintaining fairness and transparency? Good question.
Yeah, it is. Helping other people grow in their career is definitely way more fun. For me, it was than getting the promotion myself. It was like way more fun to be like, hey, this person I helped and now they're a store manager. So, could intentionally mentoring certain individuals be perceived as favoritism? I don't think so. If someone came to me, I've had this happen where people have come to me and been like, I want this position. I want the next position. Okay. Okay, here's the next step, right? You're going to go through this leadership book. You can like work more shifts with me. And then if other people saw that and they were like, hey, that person's getting to like do their leadership book or that person is getting to do XYZ, I would say, yeah, do you want to do it too? You're more than welcome to start to learn the next steps so you can advance to the next role. What happens is the people who really want it are going to stay really engaged and they're going to keep asking you questions and they're going to keep wanting to work with you. The people that just didn't want to feel left out, they're going to fall away really quickly and they're not going to do the work. So I don't really think that's favoritism. That's like who's showing up and who's doing the work to get to the next level. That's the person that you're going to like focus your efforts on. And the other people like, well, I gave you the opportunity. Like I gave you the book. You didn't do it. So I wouldn't worry about that. What's the best way to navigate? That I think is the best way to navigate that while still being fair and transparent. If they're like, hey, how come Amanda is interviewing for the next position and I'm not? Well, Amanda did the work, right? Like Amanda did all the leadership stuff. She asked me questions. She partnered with me. Like she did all this. So she's interviewing, right? Like I think that that's pretty fair. And I think that everyone is sort of going to, okay, yeah, like I didn't do the same amount of work. So that makes sense. I don't think that's favoritism.
No, I agree. The way you explained it, that makes sense. That's perfect. So I think that's all the questions that we have for today, and we're almost at time anyway, so that's perfect.
Those were really good questions, by the way.
Yes, I agree. So yeah, I think we can wrap it up a little bit early here, and just wanted to say thank you all for spending part of your day with us. A huge thank you to Kit for your insights. That was awesome to hear all of your experience. And we encourage everyone to connect with Kit on LinkedIn to continue the conversation and follow Retail Control Systems on LinkedIn for more upcoming webinars and updates on retail technology. Thanks again for being here, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda.
Bye.
Bye.